Good evening, everyone. My name is Nathan, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about a Jeskai Geist list that I won a modern PPTQ with here in Hawaii. But before I get started, I want to give you guys a short update to talk about what's going on with me over the next couple of months. I needed that calendar. So starting on Tuesday, I'm going to go take a short vacation with my wife to the Big Island of Hawaii. We've been really looking forward to some alone time, and we're both excited we finally get some. So we're going to go the 16th through the 21st, so there's definitely going to be no magic videos then. Then I'm basically just in Hawaii for this week, the 22nd through the 28th, and then the 1st they come and pack our stuff up, and we move out of here. Now our stuff's going to be shipped to Texas, where it's going to go in storage probably for the duration of the time that we're living in Europe. So I'm going to spend a few days in California. We're going to probably go to Yosemite National Park and just, enjoy another short little trip there. Then it's back to Texas and probably spend 3 or 4 weeks in Texas. Basically, we'll probably be in Texas until the end of July or roughly around then. Then we're going to move to Europe. It's either going to be like the first week in August, maybe the second, somewhere around that general time frame. So the time that I'm in Texas, I don't know if I'll have a computer that I can record videos with. Right now I do it on my desktop computer, and my MacBook Air is just not really up to the task. I could do it with the old client, the old Magic client, with the new one, not so much. Now I do have a laptop that I can play Magic on, but it's not really suitable for recording. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I may ship my computer to Texas and set it up there. But I'm going to also be spending lots of time with old friends, so I don't know how much time for Magic videos I'll actually have. But then there's also the issue of getting my computer to Europe. It's going to be like a couple $100 to ship the PC. That doesn't even start counting the monitors. I'm almost wondering if it makes more sense to just get like a gaming laptop that I use while I'm in Europe. I may get a newer Mac. I don't know what I'm going to do yet, actually, as far as getting my computer to Europe to make videos. That remains to be seen. It's a problem that I'm working on. I know there's also a tax. Like they tax everything but like portable computers. So if any of you guys live in Switzerland or just have any advice in general on kind of making that type of move and what to do with the computer, one thing I've even thought about is just taking it apart and buying a new case when I get there and reassembling it. So that's one option. But I definitely don't plan to stop, but there may have to be a momentary hiatus until I figure out what to do. So, like I said, if you guys have tips, if you've done this before, let me know. I am happy to hear them. But yeah, so we'll be settling. My wife's job starts September 1st in Geneva, and we will be in Switzerland in August. Probably looking for a place to live. I don't know how difficult that's going to be. I hear it can be challenging. So that may also affect my ability to make Magic content. We'll see what happens. So let's talk about the real reason that you guys are here. Let's talk about this deck. Give me just 1 second. Sorry, but I've had to pause a couple of times. I don't know why, but sometimes when I'm talking, my nose starts it gets tickled so bad that I have to pause, and I have to shake the heck out of it or scratch the heck out of it. Anyway, okay, so this is the list. So I'm going to go through the rounds, and I guess as I go through the rounds and the various little card selections come up, I'll talk about them. There's nothing really that revolutionary here, just a few tweaks that I've decided to make and some other card inclusions that you don't always see Anticipate in Mana League. The sideboard honestly was a mess, and I don't know that I'd use this sideboard exactly as a guide. I knew there'd be twin, so I wanted some Rending Volleys. I expected a lot of twin. I knew there'd be Infect, so I wanted Spellskite. It's also good against twin. I knew there'd be Burn, so I wanted Core Firewalkers, and I think the Spellskite helps there as well. I knew there was going to be Call Against commands, probably at a Grixis twin, maybe at a Grixis Delver. I expected that as well, so I wanted Batterskull on the side. I know that the Team Geist guys were testing Batterskull. I think they had it in the side, and it was still really good. I mean, just you don't want to bring it in against Call Against commands decks, but otherwise it's still a good spell to have. I knew there's probably going to be some affinity, so I wanted Wear Tears and Engineered Explosives. I also wanted Dispel for the Delver / Infect / Twin decks that I expected. And I didn't expect too much Jund. Not everybody has Tarmogoyfs here, so Um, Against those decks, I basically planned to just bring in like Baneslayer, Angel, and Thundermaw Hellkite. So, excuse me, that tickling thing. Anyway, let's talk about kind of how things went. So, I got to go and give my wife some thanks because, so the way the day started, right, is I actually got a reasonable night's sleep, and I got up and I was like, okay. My wife was like, you should go do some exercise, and I'm like, you're right. So I wanted to kind of start the day off right, get my head clear, get some like good endorphins from being active. So I went on a short bike ride. I was only like, I only rode like 18 or 19 miles, like just an hour. And I got that done. And I thought the tournament was at 12. It was actually at 11. So I lost a whole hour. Not only did I lose an hour, but because of family being in town, having to do like non-magic related stuff, which is great. I loved it, but I didn't get to like prepare as much as I wanted to. So I'm getting all stressed out on Saturday morning. I realized that I have much less time. It's 9:30 a.m. and it's 9:30 a.m. I haven't decided on my main deck list. I haven't decided on my sideboard list. I'm starting to freak out. And my wife, being awesome like she is, she was like, well, you have to do the best that you can. She was really patient with me, and she made me coffee, and she made me breakfast, and she brought it all to me while I was like over here at my desk like, oh my God, Magic, it's so difficult and I don't know what I'm going to do. So she's awesome. But anyway, this is what I selected. I decided that I really like Leak in the list, but I also want Remand. And at one point I wanted 3 Leak and 2 Remand, and at another point I wanted 2 Leak and 3 Remand, but I had trouble fitting all the spells in. 5. I would love to run that many, but I didn't really want a Lightning Helix because I just wanted to stay. I wanted the deck to stay as proactive as possible with all the burn, and I also thought there might be a lot of burn decks. So I didn't really want to cut a Helix. I kind of wanted to keep that shell. I don't know, guys, if you guys can hear that beep. Sorry about that. Probably micro. You got that? Thank you. Anyway, so I just decided to split the difference. 2 Leak, 2 Remand. Remand is still great in the deck, but Leak is also great in the deck. And having Leak in the deck means that when you're being the control deck in the first couple of turns of the game, you're just able to actually hard counter things. And sometimes with some information you may gain off click. There are things you'd much rather just mana leak than Remand. And because Modern is a powerful format, things like Summer Bloom that you can leak on the play are much better than remanding them. So that's why I decided on those. The Anticipates were actually quite good. They won me a few games. I'll talk about that. But they help us after sideboard games because they can help us find our sideboard cards. They can help us if we have an Anticipate and only 2 lands. That's a much better keep. And I've said before that when the deck doesn't have Geist of Tract, it's kind of a bad control deck, which I still think is true. But Anticipate can actually help us find our Geist if we're casting it on turn 2. So I don't want too many, but it's been. I think it's good in the deck. Sometimes we have to be reactive and find things and be a control deck, and Anticipate helps that, and it also allows us to find our proactive things. It can also help us find our one-ofs like Karanos. Okay, so let's talk about the matchups. It was a pretty short PPTQ, and I didn't even have to play it all because some of my opponents were actually pretty gracious and conceded, and we'll talk about that. But round 1 was against Soul Sisters. Probably the best card in this matchup was actually Mana Leak, and that's because I was able to Mana Leak his card advantage spells rather than just remand them, which made dealing with the deck a lot easier than it normally would have been. I Mana Leaked a Squadron Hawk, and he eventually drew a Squadron Hawk later, but it didn't matter because I had found a Thundermaw Hellcat at that point, and I was able to play a Thundermaw while keeping a Restoration Angel in my hand so that I could bounce it later and really set up like a good sequence of plays that just kind of wrecked him. But I was also able to Mana Leak so I clicked him and I saw the Ranger of Eos, and he had 2 in hand, and I was like, all right, well, I can tuck one with click and I can leak the other one, and I feel like that's a really great, like it costs 4, so remanding it if you're applying pressure is great, but I wasn't because I didn't have Geist. It was one of those draws, and I was being a control deck, and being able to actually leak his card advantage spell was so much better than remanding it. And that game 1, I was able to just navigate the game in such a way that I was able to utilize Mana Leak to get rid of his card advantage spells, and just control the board until I eventually was able to resolve a Karanos and then beat him down like with an Angel and a Hellkite wasn't game 1. Hellkite was game 2, but beat him down with an Angel and Karanos triggers and things like that. So I was really happy with Mana Leak there, and I was really happy with Karanos as well. Karanos is great. Karanos is awesome when the game has gone long for all of the reasons that it obviously is, but it really also can help you remain a control deck when you're kind of being forced to be one, and it functions very well in that role. Game 2 was so I won the round in 2. I don't remember exactly how I boarded, but Anticipate was good in that I was able. So I drew one Wear Tear, but I killed a Rest in Peace, and then at one point I anticipated and I was able to find the second Wear Tear and get rid of an Honor of the Repeater, so that was really good. And it was kind of more of the same. I think I either cut all 4 Geist in that matchup knowing I'm going to be the control deck, or I cut some number. But I was also able that game to, I think, leak a Ranger of Eos, and Leak was good in that matchup. Again, I was able to prioritize leaking his card advantage spells and then take care of things like Spectre Procession with my Electrolyzes. So worked out pretty well. He gained a lot of life both games. At one point in game 1, he was at 33 life, and at one point in game 2, he was at 32 life. So that was my first round. Round 2 was a guy named Dominic. Oh, that was round 1 was Matthew. Round 2 was Dominic on Grixis Control. I'm kind of trying to remember exactly how our round 1 went. I wasn't sure if he was going to run main deck Blood Moons or not. I saw a Vidalcan Shackles go into the... he thought scoured away a Vidalcan Shackle, so that was a clear indicator he was going to run a lot of islands, and made me think that he might have been running main deck Blood Moons. I didn't see any Blood Moons game 1, but I did game 2. Game 1, just looking here, there was a lot of life total changes. We were slinging lots of burn at each other, and Helix helped as well. I know I won one of these games with Geist of St. Traft, and I can't remember if it was game 1 or game 2. I know that I resolved Geist at one point. I'm trying to look for like the 15-9, and then so the life totals don't look like I did game 1, but it looks like I may have game 2. Game 1 was a lot of burn. Game 2, Anticipate came up because he he might have made a little misplay here, but I had a Celestial Purge in hand for his Blood Moon, and I think I had a Vendilion Click in hand. I think he may have terminated a Restoration Angel, and at this point he was at, I think it was at 6 life. So I was able to lethal him if I could attack with a Colonnade and a Celestial, so rather attack with a Colonnade and the Vendilion Click that I had out. But also Mana Leak was good here too, because I was able to Mana Leak at one point I was able to remand and then later Mana Leak a Call Against Command and keep myself from getting 2 for 1. Now, there was a turn where, so I had this Purge in hand, but he had a bunch of mana open, and I was like, there was a Cryptic Command in the graveyard, and I was like, he probably has a Snapcaster Mage in hand. So if I just Celestial Purge a Blood Moon, then it's probably just going to get... he may try to protect it so that I can't kill him with Colonnade. So what I did was I cast Anticipate just to see what I could see and to see if he did anything. And what he actually did was, in response to Anticipate, he went Snapcaster Mage, bounce a Colonnade back to my hand. Now I had 2 in play, but that meant that I couldn't activate Colonnade next turn, even if I got rid of the Blood Moon. So he did that. Anticipate resolves, and what I was actually able to take with Anticipate was a land, then Celestial Purge the Blood Moon, and then play the land and attack for the win. Now, it may have been a misplay for him to respond with Cryptic Command, bouncing a land back to my hand in response to Anticipate, because I may just be able to find a land, but he did have a Blood Moon in play. So, what he probably should have done is just sit on that Cryptic and see what I was going to do after casting Anticipate, if I did anything at all. But maybe I'm wrong there. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Anticipate in that scenario, found me the land that I needed to attack with Colonnade and win. Round 3 was against Blue Red Control. Game 1 was pretty simple. I beat him down with Geist. It looked like he was on Jeskai controls, so I had a click and a Geist in hand. So rather than just run Geist out on turn 3, I played my third land and passed. He played a land and passed back to me. I Vendilion clicked end of turn. He went ahead and mana leaked it, which I was actually fine with. He didn't know what I was going to do, but I did. So I untapped, played a land, played Geist, to which my opponent said, Geist of St. Traft. Wasn't expecting that. And he was never able to answer it. I think he tried to run a Snapcaster Major 2 in front of it, but I had removal, so I just killed the Snap. Killed him. Game 2, he had to mull, and then I think he had to mull again, and he said he had a reasonable hand. It just needed a blue source. So unfortunately, he was forced to lead with Sacred Foundry, then Ghost Quarter, and then he found a Colonnade. I kept like land, anticipate Geist of St. Traft, and some other stuff. And fortunately, I was able to cast Anticipate on turn 2, and I think I revealed like Remand Koranos or something like that land. So I took the land that I needed to play Geist on turn 3, and I think I attacked once from 19 to 13, and then I think I attacked again. He cast Helix and drew a card the next turn and then conceded. So he just didn't have a good answer to Geist, and Anticipate was also good there because, like I said, I was able to use it to find the land, and also, it was going to be 2 full turns before I was able to get that third land. So I was really happy to have Anticipate there. Round 4 was against, and I know this isn't exactly like a play-by-play. I just didn't take detailed enough notes for that. But round 4 was against a guy named Tim. The blue-red control player, his name was Sean Pottinger. He's known, I guess you could say, for being like one of the stronger local players. Was a really gracious opponent, and he comes up a little bit later here. So round 4 was against Tim. Tim was playing like a mono blue Grand Architect kind of a combo deck that also could pressure you with that one Merfolk that's pro red and Master of Waves. Could also pressure you with Master of Waves, and was sort of a kind of like blue devotion, big mana. Could cast Emrakul, had Cage Suns. You can Grand Architects. Ways to protect Grand Architect with things like Curse Catcher and the bird, the owl, whatever it is. It's a hybrid blue or white mana, and it kind of does the same thing Curse Catcher does. And then he also had redirects, so he could redirect my burn back in my face, and Vidalcan Shackles, which made things awkward as well. And he was also 4-0, so his deck did definitely seem interesting. In fact, he got me game 1. I don't remember exactly how. I think he was just able to. He may have been able to beat me down with Master Waves. I don't remember. But game 2, I was able to take that match. I think I got a Koranos in play, and that kind of did it. Game 3, he had to mulligan, I think, down to 5. He just didn't really have a very good hand, and and I think he got stuck on 2 lands for a while. And I think I just resolved Geist and on turn 3 and just beat him down with Geist. So that was round 4. At this point, I had only dropped the 1 game to Tim, so I was feeling pretty good. Round 5 was a guy named Michael who comes up later in the story as well. We realized we could just draw, get it. I was actually number 1 seed, so he may have been second. I don't remember what we drew. I think, actually it was second. So we drew into the top 8. My first top 8 opponent was Alfred on Amulet combo. So I was pretty sure that the end was coming. I guess I forgot that Alfred had Amulet, and before that I thought there was only one other Amulet player, so I didn't really plan to play against it. I didn't bring any hate cards really, as you can see, other than Spellskite can have some utility there. The mana leaks are okay. Wear Tears. The Dispels are okay against packs because you can make them transmute a Teleria West, get a Summoner's Pact, and then Dispel Summoner's Pact, and you can hopefully maybe shut down their engine. Alfred took game 1. I want to say that he just went like, turn 2, Hive Mind, I'm dead. Game 2, he just didn't have a great draw. I was able to get there with Geist and Burn and Flyers. And then kind of the same thing happened game 3. Game 3, actually, game 2 was also interesting. I want to say that I mana leaked the Summer Bloom, and then he just kind of was really slow after that, and I just beat him down with Geist. I'm pretty sure that's how that one went. So leaking Summer Bloom was really good. Then game 2, leak also was useful because I was able to mana leak a Obstinate Baloth, and had I just remaned that, then I would have eventually had to deal with it, and the life gain may have set me back enough where I couldn't kill him quickly enough. So plus I would have probably had to path Obstinate Baloth, and it would have given him a land. It would have changed lots of things. So mana leaking Baloth was really good. Then there was one interesting point where I had a Snapcaster Mage in play I was beating him down with, and I Vendilion clicked him, and I saw Bloom, Dragonlord Dramoka, and Hive Mind, and a Fire Spout. And his life at the time was 17. So I did the math, and basically I also had a Bolt in hand. So if I took the Fire Spout and was able to keep all of my pressure up and he just drew poorly, then I would go click Snapcaster to take him from 17 to 12. I'd be able to then play Geist, then untap and attack with Geist for 6, click for an additional 3 to make 9, and then 10, 11 with Snapcaster Mage, but I also had a Bolt. So what I did was I played Geist. So I took Fire Spout. I attacked him down from 17 to 12, played Geist, kept a mana up to bolt him. He took his turn. I don't remember what he did. Maybe he played an Amulet at this point. But anyway, I fetched for a land, bolted him, untapped, attacked with Geist, and, well, I think when I bolted him, he realized he was dead and then scooped. So I got pretty lucky there. Then my next top 8 match was actually going to be Sean Pottinger again on Jeskai Control, and he goes, I don't think my deck's a very good matchup against your deck. And then he said, he's like, man, I don't even intend to go to the RPTQ. If you think you're going to go, then I'll just concede to you. So we talked about it for just a minute. He decided to go ahead and concede. So that was very gracious of him. And, I was really happy. I guess I would like to be able to say, like, I battled my way through, every round, but I didn't. And so I don't really consider it. Well, let me finish the story. So that happened. And then it was back to Michael, the Grixis twin opponent that I drew into top 8 with. It was him in the finals. And my plan for him was actually, I was just going to go out with 4 leagues, out with 3 electrolyzes, and in with a Celestial Purge, 2 Dispel, 2 Rending Volley, 2 Spellskite, 2 Wear Terror, and a Spellskite. So I think I could have had like a reasonable matchup against him. But I just said, hey, do you plan to go? Because, I basically, actually what I said was, hey, do you plan to go? He said, I'm not sure yet. And I said, well, I'm more than happy to play it out. I said, but if you don't plan to go at all, then, I do want to go to the RPTQ. I said I'd be happy to, split prizes with you. So we kind of talked about it for a little bit, and he said, if you're going to go to the RPTQ and you think, that you can do well, and then I'll go ahead and concede. So that's how I won my PPTQ. I didn't even battle the last 2 rounds. It could have been more epic. So while I won a PPTQ, I kind of consider it more of like I did very well. I did well at a PTQ. I felt like I was playing well. I would say that, I got, at least got, 3rd, 4th place. It is technically a win, but, I don't want to like credit myself with battling through every round. Plus, my matches went well, and I didn't have to play against anything terrible until the top 8. I didn't have to play against the junk. There was no Jund there. I didn't have to play against the junk opponent. Actually, probably one of the reasons I didn't have to play against junk is because junk played against Amulet turn 1. It was my buddy Pierre, and I believe he walked up to me and was like, well, I got my teeth kicked in by Amulet. So that's how the PPTQ went. I'm looking forward to the RPTQ. I'll be living in Europe then, so I will probably go to the Stockholm one. It's in Sweden. My wife has a friend that lives in Sweden, so we'll probably make a little trip out of it, go visit her. I hear it's very inexpensive to travel between cities in Europe. So this was the list that I settled on. I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but my sideboard was kind of a wreck. I wouldn't necessarily use this sideboard as a hard and fast guide, although there was some stuff I did like. What I think is actually basically just missing from the board is probably at this point you could maybe run a Rending Volley, but it doesn't have stance. It doesn't, like, the cards that it's really missing that you may want in a wide open meta might be Valor Stance, might be Anger of the Gods, and might be a negate or a counterflux. Outside of that, I was really happy with the sideboard for my meta. Even though I threw it together at the last minute, I felt like I was able to board things in and out quite easily. I never had to bring Baneslayer in against anything, or I don't think I boarded it in, but I have been casting it, and it's been a pretty sweet spell. I also like against some grinding matchups you can just bring in a lot of threats. Although against Junk I'd be happy to bring in Batterskull, but against Jund I wouldn't. So yeah, that's the deck. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Like I said earlier, if you have any advice on moving to Europe and maybe how to get electronics over there, I'm also all ears for that. I don't want this video to be too long, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and sign off here. If you have any questions, just put them in the comments. We can talk about the deck. Feel free to email me, nathan@greatnate.com. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for commenting. Draw well, smash face. Hopefully I'll do my best to make some more videos with this deck, hopefully doing better than my last performance, 1-3. It's kind of funny. I went 3-0 in an 8-man recently, and then I went 1-3 in a bunch of 2-mans, and then I did really well at a PPTQ. So, Magic is a game of variance, and it's important to always keep that in mind. I had this realization, actually, that I wanted to share you guys before I go, just kind of talking about playing Magic in general. I've been thinking about my play, and one thing that I've realized is, somebody said recently in the comments, "You are bad," and that's fine. They can say that if they want. I don't really care. I don't believe that it's true. But what I do think is true is I think that, I'm not a great player. I don't even know if I'd say I'm a good player. I'm not going to, I don't really have a lot of results to show for it, but I think I'm a fine player. I think I do solid. But what I'm not doing so well right now is consistency. And that's the thing that I want to work on the most, is playing more consistently to the best of my ability. I tend to be a bad sleeper in that I just have trouble putting myself to bed when I know I should go to bed, and I know that when I'm tired I play really poorly. But also I've noticed that I'm playing more Magic than I have online, and I think I tend to go. I didn't used to care whether I won or lost, and I never went on tilt, but lately I've been getting a little bit more frustrated. And then I start to get frustrated, and then I do things like miss land drops and stuff like that. So I really want to try to get myself back to a mental state where I'm just looking at every game just objectively. I'm not being emotional about it, and just taking opportunities that I mess up to learn, and trying to not go on even minor tilt and then kind of start throwing the game away because I'm just playing fast and loose. So yeah, that's what I have to work on most, is not to try to be the best Magic player I can be, just the most skilled play. But I think the thing I need to work on the most right now, as far as foundationally, is being more consistent with my play. All right, guys, that's all I have. Draw well, smash face. I hope to talk to you soon. Good night.